and how you take care of yourself. Thinking through that, we know that there's a lot of different ways that people practice wellness. You don't have to have a meditation or a yoga practice to be someone who is practicing wellness. You don't have to have a super strict dietary or nutrition plan, but just the importance of being able to pause and think about what are the ways that you are taking care of you. So we would love to hear about how each of you take care of yourself. And Val, were you able, or Mary, were you able to get that info?
We just
going to have.
Yeah, we just asked if folks thought about it ahead of time. So I will unmute everyone and encourage, I forgot to encourage participation off the top, but we'll do that right now. So I'm going to unmute everyone and would love for someone to lead us off with any little thing they do to take care of themselves.
And you can utilize the chat box as well.
Well, this is Val Maximovich in Independence, and I'm going to be talking more later, but I feel it's important to look at what your community offers. We do have a wellness center here, and because I'm with the school district, we have a wellness program. Not everybody participates, but it's being aware of what's out there and maybe team up with a partner, someone in your building, someone down the street, your neighbor, just to take the time to say, hey, how are you doing taking care of you? Just to help somebody keep you accountable. So just be aware of what's out there in your community. And we're having some fun examples in the chat box.
Yes,
coworkers is a good one.
I love the using HSA funds to get massages. I am doing the same this year, one time per month. Some of you may have some New Year's resolutions or goals. For me, I choose a word of the year each year, and this year is present. And so one of the things I'm doing is trying to be more present in the moment, and massage is a great way to do that. But I also saw the word present as an opportunity to give gifts to myself as well. And that's a great way to reward myself for a busy month.
Definitely.
Ooh, I like the recommendation of a Jillian Michaels app on the phone. That is really good.
Can you say that one again, Allison?
In the chat box, I try to take time for myself each night and do some sort of exercise. Right now, it's a Jillian Michaels app on her phone. So the ability Amanda has to watch TV and do a Jillian Michaels workout, that is very wise. Jazzercising for 15 minutes a day. I would love to know, Jamie, if you could let us know, do you do that in the office? Are you able to do that right there in your office? I may have to implement that idea here too. Jamie and her coworker jazzercise 15 minutes a day. It's good exercise and get some good laughs. I love it. Well, I like these ideas because I think they're really broad. And I think it's important when we think about, they don't have to be specific. They don't have to be structured. And I love in your responses is there's joy in them. And you're finding the ability to make time and take time for you. So in thinking about your wellness practice, it could be laughter related. It could be exercise related. It could be massage related. It could be vacation time and planning vacation time related. But each one of us has a unique way in which we approach wellness. And so the first part that I'm going to talk about a little bit is about taking a look at that and even measuring where you are when it comes to your own well-being. And then Val's going to talk a little bit about some really fun ideas about wellness programs that she's learned about that can happen within work, or I even see how they might benefit in a family dynamic. I'm thinking about encouraging a friend of mine, specifically with a group of friends that are fans of The Wizard of Oz, that we get together and try to utilize this too. And Val will talk about that a little bit later. But these are great ideas in the chat box, and I'm loving that. I'm loving all the different ways that we can share this. Mary, I'm hoping that we might be able to, if go to training is like go to meeting, we'd be able to keep the chat box dialogue and maybe even be able to send that out later, because I'm trying to take notes while talking into my microphone, but knowing that we have the chat box recording option later, that would be great. So in thinking about well-being assessments, there's a lot of different ones out there, and one that I'm very familiar with is from Gallup, but the one that I also fell upon comes from the University of Minnesota. And you can just go online and take this really simple well-being survey to kind of get a glimpse as to where you are today as an assessment, and then any goals you might want to set in regards to your health, relationships, environment, security, community, and purpose. If you didn't have a chance on the note of purpose, if you didn't have a chance to listen in on the national, the Mentoring Partnerships recent webinar on purpose, it was an awesome one and a great reminder to me of how it ties into well-being. Well-being isn't just physical, it's also an emotional mindset as well, and how we can enhance that on a regular basis. So this is one example. Again, you can go online, and I've got the link here. So if you have the PowerPoint, Mary, I think you have that as one of the resources available in the materials. The link should be there directly. So you'd be able to go online and take a look at it and assess your well-being through this instrument. And if you go to the next slide, Mary.
Yes, I did want to point out to folks that in the toolbar on the right for the webinar, if they click on the materials link, the index that Allison just referenced is linked there, as well as a lot of other materials that we're going to be talking about as well. So there's a whole bunch of resources there, and you can click on those while you're on the webinar as well.
Thanks, Mary. So the well-being assessment for me personally that I'm most familiar with is from Gallup, and this is actually in the format of a book. It's well-being and the 5 essential elements, and it was written by Tom Rath and Jim Harder. Tom Rath also has another book called Eat, Move, Sleep that I happen to love a lot. Tom, at a young age, was diagnosed with a medical condition that essentially was very, very limiting and frustrating for him. And his mindset was very much strength-based and focused on what he had the capacity to do and what he could do to change his situation. And I don't want to give too much away if you happen to read the book, but I think it's a great resource when you think about just the ways that you are able to talk with others, maybe about where they are currently in their own well-being struggles or in their own well-being achievements. So this is a New York Times bestseller, one that I'm familiar with and I appreciate. What you do when you are able to utilize this book is there's a survey within, and that survey you can utilize for up to 6 months, rating your well-being in the areas of career, social, financial, physical, and community. And so you're able to rate that and then take a look at maybe where your well-being may be in a higher position, or where your well-being may be, we hate to use the word suffering, but it's either suffering or striving. And so when you're thinking about where your well-being lies, a lot of times if you have a high physical well-being, you might also have a high social well-being, or if you have high career well-being, it might be tied together. So one aspect of well-being that suffers may affect the other areas as well. So this is a great instrument, another just additional toolkit, an additional option for people to assess their well-being. Like I said, it comes with a lot of resources and ongoing resources as well. Mary, do you want to go to the next slide for me? Here's my well-being. I'm a reader, and so I have to read. I have to read all of the comments. I'm just unable to go on until I read all the comments. Yes, don't forget that the mentor webinar recordings are available, and the IMP calls are available on the website. Love that. So when it comes to the 5 areas of well-being as measured through this Gallup instrument, career well-being, how do you occupy your time, or simply liking what you do every day? So if you were to just do a self-assessment today, where would you rate yourself? And I'm not going to ask you to enter your responses here, but just in your mind, or maybe on a piece of paper, where would you rate yourself in your career well-being? How well you occupy your time, or how well you like what you do every day. So on a scale of 1 to 5, maybe in your mind or jot down, where are you with your career well-being? The next one, and Mary, I don't know if we can take the materials box back out of there. It's kind of in the middle of my screen. I don't know if it's in the middle of yours. Social well-being. That's okay. Social well-being is having strong social relationships in your life, strong personal relationships in your life. So when you're thinking about social well-being, it doesn't necessarily mean specific number of friendships or number of relationships, but the quality and the strength of the relationships in your life. So when you're thinking about social well-being, I'd like you to jot down, or in your mind, on a scale of 1 to 5, where would you say maybe you rate today on that? And the next one, financial well-being, of course, that's the effect of financial stability or security in your life. There's a lot of research about financial well-being, and it doesn't necessarily mean that having money equals having happiness. However, struggling is different. So when they have looked at the well-being levels of people in high wealth, it doesn't necessarily mean that is tied directly to income. Financial well-being is kind of based on having your everyday needs be able to be met. And so when I think about a lot of situations for people who in poverty, obviously this would be a well-being measurement that might be quite low. And so struggling or suffering in this area would be something that would be very difficult. And that financial well-being could actually affect their physical well-being if they don't have access to healthcare, or if they're unable to pay for medical bills. Those kinds of things can tie into the physical well-being. And physical well-being, of course, is having good health and enough energy to get things done on a daily basis. So when you're thinking about number 4, notice I did not have any of us rate number 3. I like to skip over that one. That's a deeply personal question. But number 4, I want you to, in your mind or on a piece of paper, where would you rate yourself today in regards to having enough energy to get things done or do the things that you want to do on a daily basis? And then the 5th one, which I think is a direct tie to mentoring, is around community well-being. So the sense of engagement you have in the area in which you live. So when we're talking to mentors, and we actually have a mentor academy on well-being, we ask them to think about, that area of community well-being. The fact that they are showing up to mentor is an indication of engagement and an engagement into the area that they live. So I'd like you for the 5th one to rate, either writing down on a piece of paper or in your mind, where would you rate yourself on a level of 1 to 5 on your community well-being, the sense of engagement you have in the area in which you live. And Mary, if you'll go to the next slide for me. So when we're thinking about that, I think it's really important for us to think about that. Even for you to rate it on a scale of 1 to 5, you probably had to pause a little bit and maybe think, and there wasn't a single one of us, I don't think, that rated all of those as 5s. And if you did, awesome, you should be leading this call instead of me. But when I think about this, I think how important it is that our mentors are giving time to pause to think about their own well-being as well. And so we offer a mentor academy, and this is our friend Dan, who presents on our well-being. Dan worked with Gallup for a number of years, measuring and studying well-being. And so he helps us understand that well-being is just about how we are able to experience our lives, and asking everyone to consider, how did you do yesterday? If you were to rate your day yesterday, how would you say you did? And then how would you rate your life overall? So those daily experiences, if yesterday was a great day, and if you were able to learn something, the enjoyment that you experienced, to be without much physical pain or worry, without a lot of sadness or stress or anger, if you felt well rested, if you felt that you were treated with respect, if you were able to experience laughter or joy, those indicate some great days. And if you had a great day yesterday, planning for experiencing more days like yesterday. How can we really think about well-being in a way that plants the seed for tomorrow? How can we have more good days? And so we structure this academy for our mentors based around that, because we know that they sometimes come to academies to learn more about how they can assist and help and support their mentee, but they also need to take care of themselves just as each one of us need to as well. You go to the next slide, Pal. So this is our friend Dan. Mary, will that pop out of there? Am I able to do it? Oh, I did. Maybe it was on me. I was able to take that out of the middle. At least that's what I was seeing. So this is our friend Dan, and we have a really fun time with the Mentor Academy, but we also, I work with my coworker Tess, who happens to be 20 years younger than me, and Tess and I have learned that we often have conversations across generations, like a lot of our mentors and mentees do. So we started having some conversations that were videoed, and we started a YouTube series called Jen and Millie. I'm a Gen Xer, and Tess is a millennial. And we have conversations about everyday kind of life, activities. We talk about music. We talk about things that we're watching or things that we're reading. And we really tie it into our generational differences, but the importance of being able to talk about that. So we had our friend Dan on, and we were able to talk a little bit about well-being. And I think, Mary, if we have the capacity of sending the Jen and Millie link out, they'd be able to catch that. But it's week 16, where we talk about well-being with Dan, and he goes into great detail and even better specifics on really planning for and planting the seeds for better days, and days like yesterday. If yesterday was a good day for you, how you create more days like yesterday. So I'll pause for a second before I turn it over to Val to talk a little bit about the wellness challenges, to get your feedback at all about any of the resources. Also, the Jen and Millie piece has been a fun way for us to have an open conversation about how we do not see things the same. And I think it's been reassuring to our mentors, for our mentors to know that they don't have to know exactly what 8th grade is like today, or being 17 is like today, but to be open to having conversations and hearing one another and talk together about those differences. That's been a fun way. The well-being session is just one in particular that I highlighted because we did go into great details. They're about 40 minutes in length. So if you wanted to learn a little bit more about well-being through that resource, I think we'll send that out after, if we don't have it already here linked.
Great. Sounds good, Allison. You have some wonderful ideas. I'm always inspired when I hear about the mentoring education and things that we can do to have them be more aware of their well-being as well, and emphasizing with them how important it is to volunteer and be engaged in their community, because that just contributes to their well-being as well. So with that said, as I mentioned earlier, with the school district, we have a wellness program, which we're very fortunate to have. And what's been fun about that is, since we're all so diverse, it's been interesting to see which ones pop and are most successful. And this, as we mentioned earlier, the Wizard of Oz was a fun challenge. And it was, I think the reason it was so much fun is there was such a variety of activities, and you had to complete 16 out of 18. And it was over a good amount of time, from September to November. So you gave it the opportunity to walk outside, visit with a friend, read a self-help book. It just had a huge variety of opportunity. And I think it's on the, Mary, it's on the opportunities to look at on the side there too, right?
Yes.
So they can see the whole thing. So I think the two things that was most important about this, one is that it was such a diverse piece that everybody could be involved and feel like they were participating. And two, it gave enough amount of time to get it done. So you weren't like giving yourself a week, because that's not realistic in the crazy world we live in. So it was just great. And we were able to converse with coworkers and have opportunities we wouldn't even thought about before. So it's not that you have to go develop something like this, but as Allison said earlier, she has a friend that loves the Wizard of Oz. So it'd make it fun, add laughter, build relationships, those kind of things that we're always telling our mentors to do. So that's something that I felt was very valuable. So the next ones were a little more challenging for me because, we're always eating on the run. So the Eat a Rainbow for Health, I thought was interesting because it talked about our well-being and things that are valuable to our bodies. And they explained it to us, and then you had to keep track. And I don't know if I was successful at this one because I was not good at eating my rainbow of vegetables. But again, it served some of those, and it emphasized wellness, and it gave you time to think at least to what you're putting into your body. So it was good. This one is sort of like a bingo kind of thing where you could go back and maybe, I think we introduced this at a staff meeting. And again, a lot of us are only a department of one, so it's not an easy thing to do. But if you have, half of these that you could just challenge your family, go from your children to your husband to the neighbor, just set a small goal. Let's say in the next 2 weeks, we're going to see if we can do these eight or nine things. So you'd have the opportunity to think about eating 2 vegetables in one day, or making a healthy recipe, or walking with a neighbor and getting that done. So it's a short one, but like wear a wellness t-shirt. Maybe you could wear, everybody wear red that day for Heart Month, or, just be creative in that. And the big thing is not making it very time consuming because we're all so busy, but just finding a way to just make that your daily first thing to do or your last thing for the day. So when we talk about the laughing with coworkers, if you have a 15-minute break in the morning, make it every day at 9 o'clock, and you're going to sit down and look at what your challenge is for that day. Just something to contribute to that well-being. This was a challenging one, but it was a good time of year. It was in the fall, and so it was hard to find enough time to get all the miles in, even though it was a short scale. For every hour of activity completed, it was equals 50 miles, which you don't get just every day. But it was good because it went along with the election. So it was kind of fun. I don't think as many participated in this one because it was very limited. You had to be active outside. It didn't have the variety that some of the other challenges did. But I think it was still good because sometimes you'd walk with a friend, a coworker, because it didn't matter where you walked or when you walked. It was just a matter of getting it done. Again, it was very creative. And if those kind of things just happen, it's awesome. And just that whole well-being piece is what's important. And the next one's a tic-tac-toe. Again, it might not be the easiest one to accomplish, but if you look at, maybe it's something to do with your mentors. If you train with your mentors 4 times a year, you could start the tic-tac-toe at your first training and then complete it at the end of the school year. For me, I'm school-based, but if you have 4 trainings a year, you could start it and just say, set yourself some goals, bring it to the next training, tell us what you've done, and that's kind of an encouragement. And today with social media, you can definitely do Facebook, email, text, whatever works for your group of people. I know for me, I have pretty much everybody on email, but 3 mentors, so that I'm always calling them or emailing or calling or mailing them a piece. But it's also a good way to communicate, let them know you're still here, you're thinking about them. So that might be a way to use the tic-tac-toe. We always have some great incentives because, again, we're through the school and the local hospital. And so, as I mentioned earlier, take a look around your community and what's happening. Again, you don't want to spend a lot of time because we're so busy. But if you see here, you can get free items. You get a water cup, you get a grocery tote, a lawn chair, those kind of things. If there's some stuff laying around your office, it might even be like a gag gift kind of thing. Who's going to get the traveling trophy for the best wellness program this month or this quarter? So these things were, again, very basic things that would be more attainable within your office. And if you take one afternoon and you have 3 or 4 in your office, sit down and talk about these things, or as I said, the family, the neighbor, and then set some short goals. Keep it within 2 weeks, 4 weeks, so you see it's attainable, and then reward yourself with some kind of activity or incentive. And I think we're going to talk about that next. Are we not, Mary? Yes, the incentives. I was right. So I will be sending out an email weekly, probably on Monday, to remind you of the challenge. We haven't set an end date, so I'm going to say that we're going to do this till May when we're out of school for me. And then we'll have assistance by Kay, putting those out on our social media. And so we need to hear back from you what your expectations or challenges might be. I really enjoyed some of the things in the chat box earlier. So if you have some choices you'd like to do before spring, because spring's right around the corner, March 21st, I think is spring. We could set some small goals, and I'm sure Kay would be more than willing to help me get that posted and maybe an IMP newsletter, what kind of challenge it was, how many accomplished their challenge. We just look forward to helping you take care of you. And I know Allison had some great ideas earlier too that's been inspiring. So is there anything else we have for ideas that you'd like to share in the chat box?
I've unmuted everyone as well too. Yes, I'd love to hear if other folks have other resources they've used or other activities they've used either for themselves, for their staff and coworkers, or for mentors for trainings.
Definitely.
So everyone was willing to share what they did themselves personally, but no one wants to share other great ideas that I know you all have.
I think everybody's thinking. What I loved, Val, about your the challenges that you shared, I think some of those would be great mentor-mentee activities. And some could be, I as a mentor am doing this challenge, you as a mentee are doing this challenge, and when we get together during our mentoring time, we talk about how we're doing. Great ideas and the ways that we could use this in mentor-mentee matches as well.
Mm-hmm. And even that tic-tac-toe I talked about doing with mentor training, that could be between the mentor and the mentee also.
Absolutely. That's a great idea.
And for the challenge, I guess I would really just encourage you, if you're going to do that with the program, with mentees or mentors, or if you're just trying to do something personally, you just want someone to help hold you accountable, when we send out the group list, if you want to reach out to somebody, I just think this is a great way to help hold each other accountable for goals that we're trying to reach. I do want to point out another resource in the materials, which is entitled How Your Childhood Affects Your Self-Care. And I'm going to attempt to even pull that up right now. Let's see that.
Yeah, I love that.
That's a great article.
So the nonprofit, the website I'm showing you right now, Nonprofit AF, Adorably Festive. This blog is just a great blog. I really encourage you to subscribe to, because it's not always about wellness. This article is quite interesting, but I feel like this is a wellness activity for me. This comes in my inbox every Monday. And this guy is a slightly irreverent, funny take on working in the nonprofit world. So I just would really encourage you to check out that website, subscribe to that blog, and even if you have a chance, you can look through some of his past blogs and topics that might be of interest to you. Now, more importantly, if I can close this down without shutting out my whole screen, let's see that we can do this. Let me just include my folks. Look at that. Any other comments or ideas people would like to share? If not, I just want to encourage folks once again, if you've not joined the partnership program, the IMP program Facebook page, to share that. It's a place where we share ideas such as the wellness challenge and things we're talking about today. And if you have joined, you can invite your friends to join in other programs too, because we have to be friends with folks to invite them. So that's why we're really helping and counting on our program staff to spread the word. So I really encourage you to join that and invite others to join too. So some upcoming dates I want to share with folks. A reminder that February 20th is the Volunteer Iowa IMP Day at the Capitol, and really would love to have mentoring programs there supporting the mentoring sector for that. We do have funding for IMP just to have our office running, does come out of the state budget. And if you're following things at all, you know state budget times are tight. We think we're good. We just like to remind them of all the great work you're doing that we support here at IMP, and as well as some of the appropriations we get, some of the funding that comes out of public health too, that we make sure goes out to mentoring programs as well. The dates for the next webinar national webinar up there. We're doing an EEP training in Des Moines the 23rd, just because we had several folks around here, newer programs, or program staff, that we just wanted to provide that basic training. But just know, please, that that's available, the SAFE training, other trainings that Chad and I and other IMP staff are willing to come out and train in your area. So just please reach out to us. The next call for IMP is on there. The Excellence in Mentoring Awards, we're in the process of selecting those, but those will be April 17th. And then coming to an area close to, hopefully, lots of you at the end of April, we'll be doing our regional trainings again, which I know our mentoring programs have been, have attended well, and they've really found benefit in. So if you just want to mark your dates for the one that's in your area now, and know that more information will be coming soon. Does anybody have questions about any of that or comments? Or anything else for the good of the group? I'd love to hear everyone's voices. Say, give a shout out to Rita. I know we heard from Regina, Paula, Lori, Lindsay, Jamie, Amanda, and of course, our fearless leaders today, Allison and Val. Thanks so much for sharing all of your great ideas. And it was really a nice, guess about a half hour now just to think about wellness, because as Allison led off with, it's been a crazy month, I think, for a lot of us. Just crazy couple months, as always, but just kicking off the year with National Mentoring Month is always busy, busy, busy for everyone, and I don't know that it's let up. So appreciate this half hour for us to think about ourselves and taking care of ourselves and taking care of those we work with as well. So if there aren't other comments, I think we'll sign off for today. Just appreciate everybody joining us, and take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary.
Thanks, Allison.
Thanks, Val. That was awesome.
Night, John Boy.
There, I got my laughter in for today.
There we go.